All right, what's up, my brothers from another mother? Today's video is a sponsored request from a viewer, and he is a entrepreneur employer in Europe that wants to. It looks like he's trying to mash up the red pill with hiring practices and understanding the differences between men and women. So we'll hop into that in just a minute. Just want to shout out to the channel sponsor, the Tactical Soap Company. There's a link in the description for 10% off if you check out with coupon code Cooper. You're showering anyway, so why not use something that supports the creation of content of the work on this channel? Plus, they'll give you an advantage on the sexual marketplace. It's infused with pheromones. So only reason why you wouldn't want to use soap is if you don't like bathing, right? Anyway, check that out. So let's hop into today's video. This guy, his English is not his first language, so just bear with some of the ideas, but you'll get a general gist of what he's driving at here, and I'll clarify and why this is important. Towards the end, I'll explain how you guys can make requests like this in the future. So he says he is experimenting with employing somebody for his business. He has a small music teaching business there. So he's 100% solopreneur. He's been self-employed the entire time. He's built himself up over the last few years. He pays the bills and a little more on top of that. He's got some free time each week in the business, and there's tons of room for improvement. So he's pretty happy with where he's at. He just wants to build it out and look towards hiring somebody. Now, not really following the advice he got from a previous mentor. He's still very beta, he says. I'm still doing every little thing on my own, from marketing to maintenance to actual teaching music lessons, part of the business. One thing that I'd recommend to you guys, if you're in the solopreneur stage or you're looking to start up your own business, I know a few of you guys have asked me to do more videos on the business side of things. Well, make requests. I'm happy to do them. But what you want to try to focus on is anything that you dislike doing and you're not very good at, that's what you hire somebody to do, whether it's a contractor or an employee. If you like doing something and you're really good at it, those two things, you definitely want to put a priority on doubling down on them if you can, especially if they have a way to improve revenue, increase ease of your life, make your business easier or something like that. But if you hate doing it and you suck at it, that's the sort of thing you either contract out or you hire somebody for. Anyway, I'll continue on. But I'm working on that. He's got health problems, he says, minor health problems, okay. And I want to become an alpha business owner. Now, again, he's in Europe. I don't know that the translation between his native tongue and English is going very well, but he's calling an alpha business owner and turn everything to a real entrepreneur type of business over the next couple of years by hiring 1 to 3 people. Got it. Okay. So last summer, he posts an ad on a website and does a bunch of interviews. He didn't at the time and still doesn't have enough cash flow to actually hire somebody full-time in person. So it was an experiment to get my feet wet. My advice on that, my friend, is stop wasting your time. When you've got the cash flow and it's consistent, you've got the recurring revenue, you've got the students coming in on a regular basis, for lessons, and you've got the cash flow, then hire somebody. Before then, if you don't have the cash flow, you're wasting your time. And you're also going to burn out your rep too, because normally you've got a small demographic of people that are available to hire in your neighborhood. You're going to leave a bad taste in your mouth if you're doing interviews and not actually hiring. So he decided mostly to do, so this is where it gets strange. He decides mostly to do interviews with female applicants because he wanted to hire a woman instead of a man. Why? First of all, most of my female music students tend to have more balls when it comes to learning and practicing their instruments. I even have stats on those. Overall, girls perform, now students perform better. Overall, female students perform better. That's correct. They get the job done, they make process, and they don't come up with so many excuses. So just because students do better, you don't apply that to the role of employee or contractor. It doesn't translate. Many male students do not make good progress. Okay, so I get your rationalization, but again, a student doesn't translate into a good employer or contractor. So don't confuse those two. It's because most men are weak, lazy, insecure wimps. Well, you don't have a very high opinion of men, do you? I know you kind of started with, most men are beta, but anyway, that's what I thought, and that's what I'm thinking to this day. I think, by the way, that my job is to get those weak men to practice their stuff more, to make more progress and stop coming up with excuses. It's because I'm not alpha enough yet. Well, not necessarily true, man. I mean, I played piano for a number of grades when I was a kid, and I didn't really like it. I wanted to play electric guitar or drums, like I wanted to play rock and roll, but my parents wouldn't let me. And, being such, I just was not that interested in playing piano. I mean, you can take the lessons, you can get good at it if you practice enough, but if you're forced to practice when you come home every day, you start to resent it. So again, don't confuse those things. Again, girls usually are better students, in fact. I'm not disagreeing with that. So let's carry on. But women aren't exactly easy to deal with as well. And now that I'm beginning to come up a bit more red-pilled every day, I'm beginning to think that in the future I'll prefer male applicants to female ones. Anyway, okay. From all the female applicants I've had, basically 90% of them were looking just to land a secure position in my business. You could feel it. Just wanted to get in ASAP. Okay. The socialist policies in our country are bad when it comes to hiring. Basically, it's very expensive to hire someone all the risks are on the shoulders of the business owners. Virtually none of the risk is on the employee other than them risking to lose their job. Yeah, that's correct. I mean, it's like as a general rule, so a lot of you guys out there talk to me about, can you do more videos on entrepreneurship and hiring people and things like that? And okay, again, if you have a question, make a request. I'll talk about how at the end of the video. But the observation he's making about employees is entirely accurate. So I live in Canada, and I'll put it to you this way. Like, I have a debt relief business. At one point, we had about 23 staff employed at the time, and now we're down to about 5 or 6. So I'm a lot happier with 5 or 6 employees. Company can still make a profit. You can still have a good working operation with a small, tight staff. You run into a lot less problems with fewer employees too. It's very hard to get rid of lazy ass employees. I mean, here anyway, and I'm sure it's not that much different, especially in other socialist countries, as he's making the observation. It's hard to get rid of them. And even if you do all the right things, cross your T's, dot your I's, and they are an absolute useless, piece of work. Like, they're just a warm body keeping a seat warm. And you get rid of them doing all the right things, you can still have problems with the labor board. You can still have to deal with a hearing. You could still have to pay out money that's not necessary to pay out. I mean, companies run on tight margins, and to sum it up, employees are the least effective use of your money, believe it or not. In the new modern era, contracting out certain roles is much more cost effective than hiring employees. You're on the hook for a lot more, with an employee. Employees in the same work spot, they give you all kinds of hassle, man. There's drama, they're banging them, they're banging each other. There's sick days, vacation days, all kinds of, insert days that you have to take care of. And with more employees, you have to pay more here anyway, with employer healthcare taxes. Even though a lot of people say, well, Canada's great because, healthcare is taken care of. Well, guess who's paying for it, people? If you think that, the citizens or the employees of the business pay for healthcare taxes, no, man. It comes from the high income earners, and it comes from businesses. It comes from corporations. There's an employee healthcare tax here that businesses pay for when you have an employee payroll over $500,000. So these things add up. Yes, they are incredibly ineffective. So my position on it is only hire if you absolutely have to. Better than that is to automate systems. If you can apply, scheduling systems. For example, if you need a person to scheduling the appointments, can you use an online scheduling system rather than hire somebody? So there's a number of different angles to look at other than just hiring the employee, but contracting and automating systems is another good way too. Let's hop back into it anyway. So he says policies are very difficult with hiring. Just talked about that. And the same, of course, is true for marriage. Now, he's bouncing over to the red pill lens towards marriage. So hiring a female right away is probably a recipe for disaster, just like marrying a girl after a couple of dates. When it comes to hiring women, I think it would be important to check their premises. I'm not sure what he means by premises. In a moment, I'll explain why. Off the top of my head, the premises, rather, let's call it red flags. So again, I don't think this translates well. I came up with so far is this person just looking for a job? Is this person motivated enough? Do they have a hidden psychological issue? Let me just answer this one here. Yes, 100% of the time, yes. They're just like, a job is for most people something they'll work at really hard to impress you to get past the probationary period. But once they're past that period, they're going to do the minimum amount of work for the ROI. So they're going to figure out, this is what most entrepreneurs and business owners will notice anyway. I've had a number of conversations with guys at conferences and getaways and retreats and entrepreneurs org, and the soundbite is something like this. Employees will eventually find a way to do the least amount of work for their paycheck, or if the line in the sand for bonus is here or commission is here, they'll tend to just cross that line barely, sort of thing. So That's just the nature of the beast. I mean, that's human nature. It's not employee nature. I believe it's human nature. So, are they just looking for a job? Yes, and they're going to do the bare minimum to keep it. There's an old joke somewhere where somebody said, how long have you been working at such and such company? And the answer to that is ever since they threatened to fire me. So just think about that for a minute, marinate on it, right? Is this a person motivated enough? Do they have hidden psychological issues? Well, you're not really going to know that until about 3 to 6 months in anyway, so you're going to have to pay attention there. Are they telling me lies just to get me through the hiring process? Is this woman primarily looking for security in my business because she doesn't have a provider? Will she have children in a couple of years? As a business owner, you have to pay all that crap. You continue to pay her while she is on child care holiday in quotation marks. Interesting. Okay, and now that I've consumed a ton of red pill material, it all makes even more sense. Plate theory, for example. I'm not sure why plate theory ties into hiring, but let's carry on here. For example, I guess should work really well in the hiring phase. Now you can't hire multiple people. I mean, you could hire 3 people for a role if you only need one, and then fire the 2 worst performers within the probationary period and probably not have much in the way of consequences. But that's incredibly expensive. There's better way to vet for employees. I did a video a long time ago on my channel. Let me just make a quick note here, and I'll remember to insert that in 22 so I don't forget. Card up on the top right. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. So I have a very cool way to hire people. So watch that video. So he's talking about spinning multiple plates, and then you select the best one and get rid of the dead wood immediately. And of course you continue spinning those plates. So yeah, I mean, but that would be expensive. So anyway, in closing, he says, but I'm not experienced enough yet. So would you make a video where you'd get in some detail about your experiences with hiring people for a business? What other red flags to look for, especially in female applicants? And how does it tie in with career hypergamy? Plate theory, alpha mindset of employers, turning beta employees into rock star. All right, well, let's get you some value for this. Let's start with what experience hiring people for business? Red flags. Let's deal with that. I'm kind of starting to get known as a red flag guy. You start to follow me on social media, you'll see red flags that I'll post about things that people do. Yeah, so follow me, Entrepreneurs in Cars on Instagram or Twitter. So red flags. One of the things that you can do, which is becoming harder and harder, is a background check on people before you hire them. You're going to have an email address and their cell phone number, minimum, probably even a home address as well. Copy and paste those into Google, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. If their information is linked to the account, their public profiles will show up. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're not doing it, the next employer will. So you want to be intelligent about your hiring. It doesn't matter what they tell you or what facade they put out when you meet them for the interview. If you go to social media and you see they spend every single weekend in Vegas partying for 4 days straight, they're not going to be that effective in your business. They're going to be hungover and utterly useless. So yeah, you want to be attentive to that. You also want to be attentive to the opinions that they express. So if, I don't know, you come across somebody that has a Twitter account and they start, they're banging on about how they screwed over their last employer for X, Y, and Z, yeah, you got a problem right there. So you don't want to hire them. So you should be using the vetting process of Google, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook by plugging in their email address, telephone number, and see what comes up. I had this one guy. Oh my God. I had this one guy, a good friend of mine that I was coaching with something he was doing on his business, and he copied and pasted in the phone number of an applicant, and it turned out she was a prostitute. She worked as a call girl. So, you should be attentive to those things. So yeah, so look out for those red flags, especially in female applicants. Well, the difference between male applicants and female applicants isn't that different. For certain roles, I think men and women perform better. But, for what you're talking about, teaching music, my daughter is in music lessons and her teacher's a male and he's great. So I don't know that a female teacher would be any better. Like it is what it is. So I don't see too much different there. But anyway, and how it all ties into career hypergamy, like plate theory, alpha mindset of employers, turning beta employees into rockstar. Now, okay, I will say this about turning beta employees into rockstar employees. There's this old saying about strengths and weaknesses. And, you want to, in my opinion, spend your time and energy and efforts on top of helping your employees that are rock stars become better rock stars. Just got to check this real quick. I think I have a coaching call. Yeah. So you want to invest your time, energy, and resources in your A players to make them better. Okay. If you start investing your time, energy, and resources into trying to convert a mediocre or a weak employee into a stronger one, or you're going to try to transform their weaknesses into strengths, which you usually end up with are really strong weaknesses. So, you know, if they suck at, well, we're talking about music. If they suck at, you know, showing up on time and doing the lesson properly with your student, I don't think that you can improve those skills. You're better off cutting your losses, getting rid of that employee, and finding somebody new. That's, you know, that's my opinion. As an aside, I have a guy that I've coached a few times in the last couple of years that is a music teacher. He lives, I'm not going to say where he lives, but he lives in South America, expat guy. And he has a YouTube channel where he basically puts out lessons on YouTube. And he's done quite well. He grew from about a couple thousand subscribers to over 100,000 subscribers fairly quickly using the advice that I gave him on our coaching sessions. So, you know, you should also consider maybe putting out lessons online rather than doing it face to face. One of the things that I'm a big fan of, and I'll say it again, and I know that this isn't specific to what you're looking for in this video, but you know, it's something to consider, is I'm a big fan of subscription-based revenue in businesses. So it's always recurring. It's month after month. So people subscribe to a service and then they get something in exchange for that. And what you do is you create the value every single month for that service or that private community, if you will. And make sure, again, it's recurring revenue and it's service-based or it's lesson-based or it's information-based, you know, something like that. I don't like shipping products and I don't like exchanging time for money. Exchanging time for money is basically what you're doing as a solopreneur. And this isn't a kick or a punch at you or anything like that. It's just pointing to the cold hard truth of you have an hour lesson and you can only charge X amount of dollars for that hour lesson. So for every hour, you're only going to make a certain number of dollars. But here's the thing. If you spend several hours putting a course together that you then sell online or on YouTube or as part of a private community, for example, that then creates recurring revenue. So you work once, but you get paid multiple times for that same lesson. You know, you can sell the lesson to 5 people or 500 people. The amount of time that you put into creating the lesson is going to be the same, but the amount of money you make on the other side is going to be considerably bigger. So consider that. Online information-based products work very well, and YouTube's actually a pretty good platform to do that. So I'll start to wrap it up on that. I want to thank you for your request. I'm not sure that too much of this with, you know, the red pill lens ties into what you're looking at. There might be some confusion with how to adapt certain things to hiring processes, but I think I've given you a ton of good information there. Before we sign off on this video, if you want to make a request like this, you just go to entrepreneursincars.com/requests. Stuck on something, sponsor a video topic today. So you plug in your PayPal info, name, and email, and then you go to the next page, and then you'll submit your question just like this gentleman did that I've read off. And the last thing is, of course, my men's community. I should mention that as well because there's tons of good value in there. Made some quick changes to this page that I'm just showing you for the first time now with DJ. So we've broken down everything that you get. So there's a premium video library. So there's premium videos that I publish every single month that are not available on the public channel. This is premium content that is less politically correct, less watered down, but much more valuable in my opinion. And you'll ask the guys when you get in there, or you'll even see in the comments that they're getting a ton of value for what they're paying for. Monthly Q&A sessions with me. We do a live broadcast. You know, guys hop on a hangout and we just have like basically some shoot the shit. There are times where we actually pick a specific topic, like side hustle money. We did one with Fulfilled by Amazon. We got one coming up on yearly goals. And I've got other exclusive content that we're going to be doing in learning events. So there's that as well. Private discussion forum. We use Facebook for that. There's also a private discussion forum on the website. I give you VIP access to live broadcasts. So if you want to call in on a show that I'm doing, you guys get the call-in number or the links to join before the public does. There's also VIP access to events. You get the lowest price available for any events that I'm attending or speaking at. And there's discounted monthly coaching for one-on-one. I'm normally $600 an hour on Clarity. For premium members that need more long-term coaching, like several months back to back, I do it for $500. You get access to all this basic stuff for $25 if you want the basic membership, or you can go for 500 and you get one-on-one coaching. This is limited though. I've only got 2 slots open. I limit myself to the amount of people that I'm going to, take on extra above my current coaching clients. So there's not a lot of room for this for new people. So there you have it. I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. And you, my friend, for sponsoring today's topic. I hope you got some value out of it. Make sure you check out the card on the top right of the screen. Smash the like button. Leave a comment below if you have some feedback for this gentleman, for your, with your own experience, because it's always useful. And we will see you guys in the next video. Peace.